We have the East Side basketball team after.
They lost it.
They're coming at 11 o'clock.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newark Municipal Council special meeting and conference meeting. Madam President, in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice has been provided to the Star-Ledger, the Jersey Journal, and to the public at large establishing the date, time, and location of this meeting. May I have a roll call of those present, please?
Here.
Present.
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 Present. Here.
Here.
Here. Madam President, on the agenda, we are on, oh no, before we do the agenda, is Mr. Moline in the chamber? Molina?
Not appearing.
Is he, Mr. Molina?
Molina's here, Molina.
Mr. Molina, would you please come to the microphone?
Where is he?
We're on page, the bottom of page 11,
Oh, I didn't see him. Sorry.
and the resumes in the packages. Would you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Michael Molina, 97 Prospect Street, Newark, New Jersey, 07105.
Mr. Molina, you have been nominated by the mayor for an appointment to the Environmental Commission. Do you have a statement that you wish to make to the council before they begin their questions?
I would like to thank the mayor and the council for this opportunity. I would also like to thank the current members of the Newark Environmental Council for the nomination. Also, obviously, the community members of the city of Newark, much of which I've had the privilege to work with on numerous campaigns throughout my time as Newark. Being a resident of Newark, growing up in Newark, living in most of the wards in Newark, actually, I feel like this is a great opportunity to be able to give back to the community, continue working with community members, and many of the things that are very important to them.
Any comments? Sponsor, council? Council as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Molina.
Thank you.
All right, let's start on the agenda. We're on page 4 of the agenda. 7R2A is the 2019 annual budget for the Newark Downtown District Management Corporation. This item was deferred from the last meeting. This public hearing remains open. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this item?
No one appearing, Mr. Clerk.
No one appearing? Council pleasure. We received the information that was requested and distributed to the council?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's in the phone.
Yes, it is. A roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Council of the whole?
Council as a whole.
Mr. Clerk,
Yes. Hold on.
we received this morning, so how are we going to receive?
No, this is,
It wasn't emailed to me. It's in the, yeah, it's right here, but the problem is that, let's say, we don't have a chance to review the information that we requested a week ago.
Can
I
I
don't
make,
have an issue voting for it, but I believe that we should get the information before the meeting.
can I make a suggestion, something that I mentioned a long time ago? Whenever we get the information that we ask for, why not deliver it right away so we have an opportunity to review it before the meeting?
that's what's supposed to happen, Councilman.
Okay.
Mr. Clerk, please correct me. I do believe both of the budgets are under a time frame. Someone brought it up at the last meeting, and I do agree with Councilman Gonzalez and Amador that to be handed the document as we take our seats. However, would not, from me, not just as a chair, but from my perspective as a legislator, the deferral would be harmful to both of these organizations. I'm certain that, and Councilman Gonzalez is particularly conscious of budgetary issues. But I am going to ask of the council members, unless there is a major objection that has come from the community, that we move this and make certain that it doesn't happen again.
Madam President, if
Yes.
we have the directors here, why don't they explain the urgency of approving this today? I would like to hear from the directors, why is it an emergency to approve the budget today and not, let's say, next Tuesday, when we have the chance to review the information?
Hello.
Good morning. My name is Anthony McMillan. I'm the CEO of the Newark Downtown District. Thank you, council members, for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. The urgency, Councilman, is because we have a debt service, and it's about about $667,000 a year, and we don't want to default on that. Could it wait another week? Absolutely, it could. But we do not want to default on that, on a debt service.
When's the payment due?
Monday.
Monday next week?
Yes.
Any other comments or questions?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman
I
Reynolds.
want to thank the NDD for providing the information that we requested. You know, for me, it's an issue of transparency. We authorize the elections that are associated with these special improvement districts. We oftentimes hear from some of the individuals and property owners who actually contribute and fund the additional assessment that enables the improvement districts to have their budget in place. And as elected officials, we have a responsibility to hear, you know, some of those issues and concerns. And, you know, I do implore and encourage the leadership of these districts to do a better job of reaching out to their contributors to ensure that there's confidence in the existence of these special improvement districts, because once the contributors lose confidence in the work that's being done, then there's really no need for the districts to exist. And you know, we're blessed in the city to have a number of these special improvement districts. They're all unique in their approach and their philosophy and their effectiveness in the community, but it is important for us to help articulate some of the questions that come before the council. And I want to thank you, Anthony, for providing us the information. I think we have most of the districts, Mr. Clerk, who've complied with our requests for detailed salary information.
Council President.
Yes,
I just want
Councilwoman.
to, thank you. I just want to say thank you for actually sending the information that the council requested, but also working with me last week to get on some calls to address many of the concerns. I asked for this item to be deferred last week, and I think that after our conversations and us working together, we can move forward in a positive direction in terms of how we're going to approach some of the concerns regarding small businesses, as well as some other things that we discussed. So I just want to tell you thank you for that, and I feel confident in moving this forward after speaking and talking about what we needed to talk about.
Anyone else? Mr. Clerk?
I think
Sorry, Councilman Amador.
for reasons of transparency, we all get the different budgets from the different bids throughout the city. I think if each of us gets the budget for each bid, I think it's our responsibility, and I'm guilty of that too, of spreading the information throughout the entire budget. I received my the budget, the proposed budget for the Ironbound bid some time ago, and it's on my desk. And again, I neglected to pass the information over to everyone in the council, but I think that if we do receive it individually, I think it's our responsibility to copy everybody on the information.
And Madam President, I think the issue is that the requirement doesn't necessarily include for them to detail, you know, the salary and wages. It usually comes through as just a general item. So I think that's the backup information that I requested through the president and the clerk, and we did receive it, hopefully from all the improvement districts.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Clerk, council as a whole. Thank you, Director.
I just want to say, Councilwoman
Yes.
MacGyver,
Certainly.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
7R2B is the 2019 annual budget for the Greater Newark Convention and Visitors Bureau. This item is also deferred from the previous meeting. The public hearing is still open. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this item?
Mr. Clerk, did we get a copy of their budget?
Madam President, I don't think we
Yes.
got the detail from the Tourism Bureau. It's only what's on Legistar, and it's just a summary. So, I didn't see anything.
Based on the conversation that I had with the director,
Speak into the mic.
it was submitted to the I believe legal, and legal was supposed to submit it up the chain, and we don't have it. So if the entity submits it and it gets lost in the city, how is it that going to happen? How?
Why would legal have, it should be the
Yeah.
They send it to us.
It's on to the clerk.
They send it to us.
Should have been to you.
How is that possible?
Director?
That they submit information, according to the director told me that she had submitted it to the legal department, and the legal department was supposed to move it up to the BA and everybody else, and nothing is happening. Where is it?
Council President?
Yes.
I don't mean to, I don't know what happened with the budget, but we don't have it. And so because we don't have it, period, right now in front of us, we should just request to defer it until further notice.
The request came from the clerk's office, too. They should forward the documentation to his office, and then he usually disseminates it to us. I don't know why it would go to legal.
It was submitted before we requested it to the, as opposed
I mean, there is a budget on file, but again, it's a summary. It's not a detailed salary and wages.
Madam Director, this is your time to respond, but because I see you here, there, everywhere, I hope there's someone on your team who is able to provide this information in a timely fashion. I don't even know how you do what you do on a daily basis. Those who are not aware of how many responsibilities that you do have, but the legitimacy, I think, is in the, has already been spoken, and it sounds as though we're going to defer it just to the next meeting, and by then you will have had a chance to put the document together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Council as a whole.
To defer to the special meeting of June 18th.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
7R2C is the 2019 annual budget for the Ironbound District Management Corporation. This item is the second reading for this item. It has been advertised for a public hearing at this time and place. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this item?
No one appearing, Mr. Clerk.
I'd like to move it.
I'd like to second.
Motion to close the public hearing and adopt. Amador Crump.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
7R2D is the 2019 annual budget for the Mount Prospect Avenue Neighborhood Improvement District. This is the second reading for this item. It has been advertised for a public hearing at this time and place. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this item?
No one appearing, Mr. Clerk.
I'd like to move it.
I'm
Second.
seconded by Councilman Osborne.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
7R2E is the investigation of an area in need of redevelopment.
Next.
Pleasure.
Is there a next?
Sponsor. Second. South End.
We're doing 7R to E. Mr. Clerk, continue.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. Let's go back to Mount Prospect. What about Ironbound? The two budgets, this is, apparently, I'm told that this is the first reading for the budget for the Ironbound Improvement District and the budget for the Mount Prospect. So second reading will take place at the meeting of July 10th.
the next
That will be the necessary 28 days. So we'll do second reading on July 20. 7R2C and 7R2D.
Next items, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, sorry. It's just the Mount Prospect that will be on second reading at the meeting of the July 10th.
Next item.
Ironbound is okay.
Ironbound is,
7R2F is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Economic and Housing Development for authorizing declaring an area in need of redevelopment.
next item, Mr. Clerk.
7R2G is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Economic and Housing Development referring the referral of a proposed second amendment to the South Bergen Street redevelopment plan to the Central Planning Board.
Sponsor.
Second.
7R2H is a professional services contract for the Department of Economic and Housing Development to provide legal services concerning redevelopment land use matters.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Let's close here through 7R2H, Council of the Whole, with the exception of G, which has a sponsor.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
MacGyver,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
McDonough,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
President Trump.
Yes.
7R8A is the introduction of the 2019 annual budget for the city of Newark. Council pleasure, Council of the Whole.
Council as a whole.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
James,
Yes. Yes.
MacGyver,
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Madam President, this is the introduction of the municipal budget for the year 2019. There will be a public hearing held on this item at the pre-meeting on Tuesday, July 9th, beginning at 10 a.m. here in the council chamber. Seven R8B is an exemption to the public bidding to provide supplementation, maintenance, and publishing of the codification of the general and permanent ordinance of the city of Newark. This is coded systems. This is a clerk's contract. 7R8C is the approval of a constable bond. 7R8D is the is an authorization for the Office of Municipal Council, City Clerk, for an alternate method of calculating the reserve for uncollected taxes. This is a part of the budget process. Through 7R8D, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call, please.
Madam President?
Yes,
Can I get an
before the roll call, Councilman Gonzalez.
Can we get an explanation on the alternative method of computing the, because I thought it was the average of the 3 years, but how are we changing it?
Darlene, I don't mean to. The lady that you see walking to the microphone, her name should be Determination. She has not stopped
Good
being
morning.
an advocate.
Morning.
Reason for the average for the 3 years,
Name and title?
Oh, yeah, sorry, that's my bad.
Darlene Tate, Budget Officer. The reason for the 3-year average is because of the reduction in tax appeals. So they reduced the,
That's what we had, the 3-year average, no?
Mm-hmm.
So we're changing it to something else?
no, it's the same.
Mr. Fracone?
Reduction in tax appeals in 3 years. Joe Facone, Samuel Klein and Company, the external auditors for the city. When you compute the reserve fund collected taxes, there are two alternative methods. One alternative method is a 3-year average. The other alternative method is to reduce the gross levy by the amount of tax appeals in the current year. We're using the second method to compute the reserve fund collected taxes, so our percentage of collection now is 96.8, and that's what we're using to compute the reserve fund collected taxes.
That's excellent.
So, and we can change, every year we can go back and forth.
Right, every year you can go back and forth, yes. We can do a 3-year average, we can do the alternate, or we can just do
Whatever
the
is most
regular.
convenient,
Whichever is most advantageous to the city. Correct.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
7R12A is a ratifying, authorizing, and amending resolution for the Department of Water Sewer Utilities for professional services contract, amendment number 1 to the agreement to provide combined sewer overflow general permit support for Tier A municipal stormwater general permit support, and extend the contract time period until July 28, 2019. B is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Water Sewer Utilities for a bid contract for emergency repair of sewers. C is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Water Utilities for a bid contract for Phase 1B of the sewer cleaning and rehabilitation. Council of the Whole to adopt through 7R
Yes.
12C.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
To the added starter page, we're going to have to skip the first one because the item has not completed the ATS review. Let's go to page 2. 7R3A is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Engineering for a construction renovation contract to do bid contract for the WIC renovations. Council of the Whole.
Council as a whole. Is this?
Councilman?
I heard you. I'm just,
Would you like us to come back to you?
yeah.
Continue the roll call. We'll come back.
Mr. Clerk,
Where is this?
Yeah, and Madam President, could we
Yes.
get information from the Health Department as to what it is that they're requesting here?
yes, I did notice that he had come in. I was waiting
Dr.
just in
Wade.
case Councilman Amador had something to say. But Dr. Wade, we'd appreciate some,
And how much is going to be spent?
Sure. Good morning.
Morning.
Dr. Mark Wade, Director of the Department of Health and Community Wellness. This is for renovation of our WIC space in 110 William Street. As you know, we have the largest WIC contract in the state of New Jersey, and the state is providing a substantial portion of this dollar amount in order for us to, one, expand the space, renovate the space. We've switched from, as directed by the state, from paper documents to electronic documents, so we need space for increasing computerization. and we need increased space in order to provide greater privacy for women receiving training for breastfeeding. So that together, supported by the funding from the state, is for this renovation. And Bismarck is the contractor who responded and is being awarded this contract.
Any other questions? Councilman?
So the $348,000 are going to come from the state?
248 comes from the state. The balance is coming from CDBG funding.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Ramos.
do we have just one WIC office, or I know some years ago there was some thought given to decentralizing and having satellite offices in the different wards? Is that something you're still thinking about, or
No,
eventually?
we do have satellite offices that have been in effect for years. 110 William Street is our main hub. Probably 70% of WIC services are provided there. We have 3 other WIC locations, satellites, if you will. One,
Where at?
Newark Beth Israel, St. James FQHC, in Ironbomb section, and in Irvington, currently in their municipal building.
Because at one point, they looked at space at the Lombardi Center, and our office was actually going to contribute toward the purchase of the furniture, because we do have a lot of, mothers who would want to take advantage of the program and sometimes may not find it, convenient to go down to William Street. So, it's just something to put in through the record here to see if you would investigate the possibility that in the future, you would consider a satellite somewhere in the North Ward.
Yeah.
Take it under advisement. Again, the direction for satellites does come from the state, but we will take that under advisement.
I didn't hear that last.
No, I said the direction for establishing satellites comes from the state Department of Health, but we will absolutely take it under advisement.
So is that why the city?
They were part of the tour at that point as well, so I think there was a agreement from the state as well that it would have been a good location.
County
No,
a decision?
not a county decision. State Department of Health recommendation, and whoever authorizes their WIC program has to approve it.
We can have that discussion with the state. Absolutely.
Any other
questions or comments for Dr. Wade? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I think for reasons of transparency, if $200,000 are coming from the state and the city assumes the responsibility for 148, I think that should have been specified on the resolution before we approved it. The way it is, it looks like we're paying for the entire $348,000.
Any other comments? Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. 7R6A is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Law for settlement of a workers' compensation claim.
We haven't heard.
Would you like
In
to,
executive session.
would I put this off until the executive session? Okay, we will come back to 6A. 7R8E is a whole harms indemnification agreement for the Senior Father's Day and Mother's Day Festival brunch lunch.
Comments? Council as a whole.
As a whole?
Clerk, council as a whole. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Councilman Quintana and
Second,
Councilman Osborne.
roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go back to the regular agenda. We are on the top of page 11. 8A is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Newark providing for a cap ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank for 2019. This is a part of the budget process.
Any comments? None? Mr. Clerk?
Council of the whole, to advance to first reading.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
8B is an ordinance adopting the First Amendment to the Westwood Model Neighborhood Initiative Redevelopment Plan, which makes various amendments to the original plan as detailed in Exhibit A.
Councilman McCallum to sponsor, is there a second?
Second.
Second and a third.
Madam President, we have a request that this item be advanced and adopted on first reading at this time.
Roll call to move to first and adopt on first. Whatever I said. Roll call, Ms.
This will be 6FA. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Madam President, the item adopted on first reading this morning will be advertised in accordance with law, and a public hearing will be held at the regular council meeting of July 10th, 2019, beginning at 10 a.m. here in the council chamber. 9A is the appointment to the Environmental Commission.
Council as a whole and sponsor?
Move it.
I move, okay. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Gonzalez. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Madam President, I'd like to go back to 8A and correct the advertisement. We will advertise this for a public hearing on July 9th. We need to have done this before the public hearing. We need to reconsider this.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerusha.
May I have a motion, Council of the Whole, to reconsider 8A? We need to adopt this on first reading in order to bring it up for second reading at the July 9th meeting.
Roll call.
Roll call to reconsider.
Yes.
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 Ken once.
Yes.
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 Now, Council of the Whole to advance and adopt on first reading as 6FB.
Roll to,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
yes.
Madam President, this item will be advertised in accordance with law, and a public hearing will be held at the pre-council meeting of July 9th, beginning at 10 a.m. here in the council chamber. We have skipped over the law item. Right. Oh, I did that. Let's go here. Council, let's do the public speaking portion before we go into executive session.
First.
Oh,
Roll
no,
call
no,
for
no, we'll
exec-
do the public speaking portion at the end of the conference meeting. Let's go roll call to go into executive session.
What made you change your mind?
We have another meeting, we can do it after the conference meeting.
Okay.
Roll call for executive session.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a brief executive session. I ask that unless you are a part of this discussion, that you please step out of the chamber. I believe for the animal control, would you like to do that while we're in executive session?
We agreed that we would do that. Yes.
Will the representatives from the Humane Society please remain in the chamber? We will have a discussion of your issue at this time.
When I should adopt a pet. I got a pet. No, you got a, that's big. No, he's got a.
I have two cats.
Hey, that's a deer.
But they don't inside the house. I have a dog that is 18 years old. Yes. You should be looking for a dog.
Oh, man. Where's he sight?
All right, Mr. Clark.
Mr. President, we are out of executive session. We have one item remaining on the special meeting that needs to be addressed. This is 7R6A, which is a settlement of a workers' compensation claim.
Okay.
Council of the whole to adopt?
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
James, absent, McCallum,
Yes.
McIver, absent, Osborne,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
absent, President Stein.
Yes.
And now, Council of the whole to adjourn the voting portion of this meeting?
Roll call.
Amador,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
absent, McCallum,
Yes.
McIver, absent, Osborne,
Yes.
Ramos, Trump, absent, President Stein.
Yes.
Yes. I didn't get to say yes.
One.
We are now in the conference meeting. The first item on the agenda is the discussion of the Terrell homes. Mr. Cirillo is in the chamber. Mr. Cirillo, will you come to the microphone?
Yeah, this one. Right.
What were you over?
Please just state your name and title for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Victor Cirillo, Executive Director, Newark Housing Authority, 500 Broad Street. Council members and Council President, thank you very much for inviting us today to talk about this development. And also special thanks to Chairman Osborne for requesting us to come in and share some of the updates and progress that has been made at Terrell Homes. We have distributed a copy of the redevelopment plan. We have distributed a copy of all the work that has gone on to get to this point since November of 2017. And we have also distributed a report of the Housing Authority for the calendar year 2018, so that it can give you a snapshot of where we are with respect to this project and also with respect to overall as an authority. Again, my name is Victor Cirillo. I'm the Executive Director of the Housing Authority. I am a graduate of Rutgers Newark, master's degree in public administration. I'm also the president of the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials and the vice president of the New Jersey chapter of the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Authorities. Perform that in my spare time and assure that the Newark Housing Authority has a significant role in leadership, not only on a national level, but also statewide. You all know that the Housing Authority is the largest housing authority in the state. We manage over 7,000 public housing apartments, 24 different communities throughout the city, as well as over over 2,000 mixed communities, close to 2,000 units, mixed communities in the city. We also operate administer a Section 8 program for the federal government of about 5,600 families. Our budget reached $185 million this year, and as you know, the Housing Authority was found to be troubled, which is one of the reasons why there was a change in leadership. The board asked that leadership be changed and new focus be brought in. That Housing Authority was found troubled by HUD in 2016 and in 2017. I've been here now for 18 months. Since then, we've had 10 audits by HUD, successfully passed. One instance, we had to return some money back, but overall, it's great to know that HUD is paying attention and that we'll never become a New York City housing authority, and that there's focus and strong leadership, both Chairman Osborne, the board, and the Housing Authority staff. As I mentioned, last year, and you'll see in the 2018 report, we started with a $6 million deficit. We closed the deficit by the end of the year we eliminated 22 titles. The Housing Authority, according to the Star Ledger, was living above its means. We've scaled back on a lot of waste. We also are cutting back on a lot of leakage. As our director of the Water Authority can tell you, we also have an outstanding bill of close to $6 million from previous years, and a PSE&G bill of over $4 million. We have entered into repayment agreements with PSE&G, and we're in the process of closing that agreement with our director of the Water Authority. The Housing Authority is moving forwards. We're not looking backwards financially. Council President, there's some curse words coming from the back as we speak. I just ask that we hold decorum and we respect the process.
To the public, I mean, it is fair to listen to the executive director of the Newark Housing Authority. I think any sidebar conversations or any comments, I think you should, if you can't, you should exit the chambers. But to fairness to the presenter, it is not fair to the people to be saying anything that's not appropriate. I think that he has given us the respect, so we have to respect him as what he's doing here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. I appreciate that. As we proceed, we are moving into not only finishing up our work with revamping our operations department, our delivery of property management, but also our development, our redevelopment efforts. Last time I spoke, I mentioned to you all that we currently have 5 properties that are out for RFP. We're looking for development partners. We have a waiting list of over 19,000 families, and we need affordable housing in the city. We currently have an RFP for Bergen Street Village, Felix Fold, West Side Village, Stephanie Thompson, Badger Avenue. So there's a lot of redevelopment work that's going on outside of the Terrell Homes sphere. So I encourage if we have any developers watching that would be interested in partnering with the Housing Authority, this is the time to do it. Go to our website, www.newarkha.org. To proceed, I'm going to speak now about Terrell Homes, and that's the next project. Just as those sites, currently this property is up for RFP, and we're looking for a development partner for Terrell Homes. The RFP is out. I've shared a copy with Councilman Amador. What's really attractive about Terrell Homes is that it's an opportunity zone, which means that we can seek financing outside of the traditional financing, tax credits, outside of tax credits. As Councilman Amador mentioned at the last meeting, there are developers out there that want to take advantage of this opportunity zone program, right? So right now is the right time for us to go out and put out this RFP for the construction of the new Terrell Homes. There's a display in front of the dais, and there's also a presentation in front of you of what the new Terrell Homes will look like. So let's talk about who came up with this concept. A little bit over a year ago, our tenant association leadership in the audience, our Ironbound Community Corporation organization, the mayor's office, Councilman Amador's office, Architectural and Planning Engineers Kitchen and Associates, Financial Consultants NW Financial, myself and the redevelopment department at the Housing Authority met 4 times to come up with this concept in an inclusive, very inclusive. There's an article in the newspaper, as a matter of fact, written by Barry Carter in the Star Ledger, in an inclusive fashion, transparent fashion. And now we're moving on to the next stage, which is construction. So at this point, we have an RFP out. We need to bring this vision to light. We need to transform lives. Speaking of transforming lives, this morning I spoke to a former resident, Dawn Sitch. She lived under terrible conditions, mold conditions. Keep something in mind. Hurricane Sandy hit the property really hard. The property is now part of a a flood zone. Okay, so it's a flood zone, and once mold gets in, it keeps coming back and back and back. So when I started the job, these are some of the residents that I started meeting with, and I realized you have a little child of 2 years old, and those are not conditions that we want anyone to live under. So we took it upon ourselves to move a lot of families that have these mold conditions as a result of the flooding out of the complex. I spoke to Dawn this morning, and I said, Dawn, is it all right if I mention your name? And she said, absolutely. Can you please read something for the record for me? And I said, sure. So she texted me and says, our life is so much better. Actually, it feels great coming home to a beautiful townhouse that we love. We have a backyard, not have to worry about people using drugs, violence, or kids picking on my child. You know, I appreciate everything that the Housing Authority has done for us. Thank you. And you can read that on the record. Hugs, hugs, hugs. That was a text message this morning. That's Dawn. Gary Hammer. Gary is real happy, another advocate of moving out of the complex. Gary is moving into Ashton Heights, our new development on Martin Luther King. He's ecstatic and happy that we're doing something about not only him, Dawn, but all the families that have lived under these conditions for a long time. Currently, we have 135 families living at the site. 15 have emergency mold issues that we're moving out. 37 have mold coming back from the Hurricane Sandy situation. Now, as you know, we have families that want to stay. They wish to remain at Terrell Homes. It's challenging, but we have made a commitment to those residents that want to stay. So this concept and this new plan is going to be phased in. We're going to keep 3 buildings up. We're going to invest in those buildings. One of the most important investment is ventilation, so that we can attack the mold conditions. So for the residents that are sticking around the complex that wish to remain for the next 2-3 years, we're going to put ventilation systems, we're going to fix the bathrooms, we're going to rehab units, and we're going to move families under our what we called our plan to consolidate, our consolidation plan. In addition, we're going to be opening up a police substation in those 3 buildings that will remain while the new building goes up. I'm not going to get into too many specifics as a new property because I don't know how much time I have. But I can talk about housing all day, Council President. Just real quick, we're looking at mixed apartments. We're looking at senior apartments. Councilman Amador, the East Ward needs senior housing, and this is an opportunity for us to build senior housing in the ward, mixed-use buildings, walk-up apartments, and townhouses over flats, meaning that we also have opportunities for home ownership, all affordable units. So you have some graphics in front of you. You'll see phase 1, which is this graphic. These are the first 2 properties that are going to go up. Under the plan that we all put together, that included residents, and I can't begin to tell you how much I want to thank Joe De La Fab from ICC. He's been a really good partner to the Housing Authority from the get-go. He understands, all the intricacies of real estate development. It doesn't happen overnight, especially when you're pressed for cash. One of the key features about this concept is the fact that we want the complex to oversee the river. So instead of, looking at each other and the way it's laid out now, we want that concept to look at the park, and we want that concept to look at the river and use that. It just builds a better community and better aesthetics and a better quality of life. So that's all I want to share as of today. Again, the presentation gets more into details about what the units look like. Again, this is all information that our residents have seen, that came up with. And lastly, we will reconvene tonight. We have a meeting with our residents at 5 o'clock in which we're going to talk a little bit more about the progress, about the RFP being out on the street. We're looking, again, it's an attractive property for developers because of the opportunity zone, because of the tax credits, and because of the fact that the city has made a commitment to allow us possibly to access the Housing Trust Fund. So that all those variables allow us to keep the properties affordable. When you partner with someone and you don't have those variables or you don't have access to those funds, then you have to concede control to the private sector. So I hope that was informative, and I hope that answered a lot of questions of where we are with respect to Terrell Homes. We're moving forward, and we're not selling the property. We're looking to transform lives. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, Councilor Osborne.
Mr. Director.
Yes.
Could you just clarify one thing? Are we operating with a deficit? Is the Housing Authority operating in a deficit? Can we be clear about, are we in a deficit?
Sure. At this point in 2019, Mr. Chairman, as you recall, we passed a balanced budget at the beginning of the year, and for the last 6 months, we're still operating under that budget. We have just, and this is good, we've just given increases to our non-unionized staff of 1.5%, the first time that has happened in 9 years, right, just from operating funds. So we're in good financial shape. You know, we're still negotiating with our union partners, but with respect to the non-unionized staff, they've received raises to build morale and build culture.
All right, and also, could you explain the home ownership opportunity program that you mentioned in your presentation, the home ownership program?
Sure, and that's a great question. We've been in communications with the Newark Community Development Corporation, and we are in the process of entering into an MOU for home ownership. And I see the business administrator's head shaking. It's a very attractive initiative because the city has inventory, and the Housing Authority has clients that have the income levels that are necessary to become first-time home buyers. So not only are we seeking to start that in the city in general, but also at Terrell Homes once we know how those pro formas will look.
Okay. Councilman Amador.
I, for one, am very happy with the presentation, and I will continue to do my part in terms of supporting some of the initiatives that are taking place, especially the looking for a partner, developer, to do the work. As I said before, sometimes we need to do certain things in order to get things done here. And the way we, for lack of a better term, behaved at the last meeting, I think it kind of moved mountains, and we need to do this. We need to continue to believe that this is all about people's lives. It's not about buildings. And if we all come together, I think the residents, myself, the Housing Authority, the administration, and the City Council, I think we can resolve this problem. I'm very happy with the presentation, and I will continue to do my part. I'll continue to be as vigilant as I've been in the past, and I'll continue to support not only the residents, but also the leadership at the Housing Authority to move us in the direction that we need to move. Some of the things that were mentioned in the very beginning when we began this process about 2 years ago, probably, I'm happy that we're coming to that point. Some of the suggestions that I made, and one of the suggestions was that whatever is going to be built in the complex should be built close to the river, and everything else should look beautiful, because those folks deserve that. The area between the buildings and the river is probably the most important area. And I think that if we get to that point, everyone is going to benefit from it, not only the residents, but also us. So let's continue to move. Tonight, this presentation to the residents will be, again, given, and whatever support you need in the future to continue to move this in the right direction and with the right type of support, I'm here.
Director, Councilman Trent?
Director, while you're here, I know it's a different ward, but also concerned about Seth Boyden. you putting out an RFP for that. We'd also like a developer. Site's been vacant for a long time, really an eyesore over there on the other side of the beautiful park where the PATH train extension is going to be. We have the golf course, so I think that'd be an ideal location for a development partnership with the NHA, and let's get on that. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
yes,
Director,
Councilman, absolutely.
The other matter too, the visit of Congressman Series together with the members of the council and the mayor, because again, you know, there has to come to, we have to bring all our partners. I mean, people who get elected as Congress people who are the assembly and senators, we all have to, you know, we all have to swim together on this journey for the folks of Terrell. So on Friday at 10:30, to the business administrator too, we are going to be doing a tour with Congressman Albio Series of Terrell Homes. Not a meeting. We just want we want to go and see conditions or the conditions. He's also bringing some folks from HUD who are going to come and also assess some of the situations so that we can help you. This is about all of us working together for the common denominator, the people of the city of Newark. So I just want to put that on
Mr.
record.
President, I said on Thursday, when there's a will, there's a way. And the reason why we are elected to public office is when we face a problem of this magnitude, to find solutions to those problems. I think we have a small ray of hope that is being built today, looking at what we have in front of us and what we can do in the future in order to get to the promised land.
Thank you. And Council President, if you don't mind, and I appreciate you scheduling the visit by the congressman, just to your point, the Congress adopted this Opportunity Zone initiative. So you talked about partners and the impact that they have, right? I talked about low-income housing tax credits, and that's all of you. That's the mayor's office lobbying for assistance to get those tax credits into the city of Newark, right? And you talk, and Councilman James spoke to the RFP for Seth Boyden. We have to move, right? And we're moving a little faster because of the leadership here of the Tenant Association. They're putting pressure on us to make sure, and I know that we empty, and that's what we can't do in the future.
Seth Boyden is empty right now. I have no tenants association. It's your fault.
All right.
But it's your leadership, right? You're pushing, right? So the point is, in the future, we can't close complexes without having an idea of what we're going to do with these complexes. That's the mistake that in my professional opinion, the Housing Authority made in the past, and Terrell Homes was headed in that direction.
Councilman
Real quick, I just want to acknowledge the Terrell Homes Tenant Association here and ask them personally, is there any questions that you want to put before the director in front of the council at this moment?
They got a meeting all night.
Change doesn't come from the top. Change comes from the bottom. And in this case, they were at it from the very beginning and determined to get to
All right. Thank you, Director.
Thank you very much.
We're going to move on and direct.
Thank you, Mr. Director.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Director.
Terrell Home Association.
Okay.
Okay, that brings us to our final presentation this morning, the water sewer utility. Mr. Adim, will you come to the microphone?
East side, oh, basketball.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kareem and Dean, Acting Director of Water and Sewer.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay. Okay.
Director, yes, I had.
Yes.
I had a couple of questions regarding the EDP or whatever the letters are. They were requesting at one point in time, some years ago, that we cover or that we protect the water that has been treated. And to have an update of what has happened in the last couple of years, because we haven't heard anyway.
So, right, in 2009, the EPA required nationwide for cities to treat or cover finished water treatment reservoirs. In New Jersey, it's 3 remaining unfinished treated water reservoirs. Newark having the largest one, 700 million gallons. Cedar Grove, Trenton, about 200 million gallons. And Passaic Valley, Great Notch. Right after that order, Newark has a consent order. From that time, we hired a company to go out, do the feasibility study, and gave us some list of alternatives, Hatchmont McDonald back then. And they wanted us to put 2 tanks in that would reduce our capacity to 200 million gallons. Shortly after that, the Exit 14 study was conducted, you see on the page, by Homeland Security in 2010, where they said, hold up, Newark, stop. That 700 million gallons is viable to the region. So we don't want you to do anything. We need to sit back and relax. So in 2016, it was a resiliency study done by North Jersey District Water Supply. And right after that study, the EPA and the DEP came in later on. And this administration, the new administration, was probably 2 years into. We sat down with EPA, DEP, Passaic Valley, and Newark, and they required us both to get together and form a joint feasibility study on the 2 remaining reservoirs in the northern region because they're so valuable to the water supply in the northern region. So let me just give you a little history on Cedar Grove before I go a little further. Newark is one of the oldest water systems in the country, the 3rd oldest. We started in the early 1800s. Through the typhoid in the mid 1800s, Newark had 4 reservoirs inside the city. The Belleville Reservoir, the reservoir on South Orange Avenue and 9th Street was a reservoir, and we had a reservoir in the southern area. Due to typhoid continue to spread, we abandoned those reservoirs, and they developed the Cedar Grove Reservoir in 1904. They expedited it. In 1983, city's 2 aqueducts coming from the Pequannock Water Treatment Plant failed. So for 14 days, we couldn't get any water from our water treatment plant because the 2 aqueducts fell. Some kids were up there playing with a valve. Some of you may remember it. Some of you may not. I'm a 3rd-generation water department employee for my family working there. During that, when they broke those 2 valves, Newark relied on Cedar Grove for 14 days. For 14 days, the city had water. People didn't even know the pipe was broke because we had Cedar Grove, that 700 million gallon supply, was able to fund us while we 2 weeks emergency construction to repair those twin aqueducts up there. So fast forward, during Hurricane Sandy, the city was offline. The treatment plant was offline, like most treatment plants throughout the state were offline for about 4 days. The city didn't feel that effect because of Cedar Grove Reservoir. So the current demand for the city is about 80 MGD a day that we get out of the Cedar Grove system, the Pequannock system, 80 MGD. So if we was to reduce our capacity down to 200 million gallons, we wouldn't be able to supply Newark and those customers, the nearby towns that we supply water to. So currently what's going on now, we're still in the early stages. The report's supposed to be issued back later this year, probably like December. The feasibility study, Arcadius is the consultant that's doing it to evaluate the treatment options. And Newark don't want to do it alone. And also the people that benefit off of Cedar Grove besides Newark, to see what type of organizational arrangements that should be made. Every municipality in the city is required, in the state, is required to have at least a 24-hour, one-day supply of water in the case of emergency. Right now, the nearby cities that we supply water, they don't have it. They rely on Cedar Grove. So we want to make sure with this study that we're getting our fair share for holding storage for the nearby cities in cases of water emergency or heavy fire.
They were to require covering the reservoir all the towns will have to share in the cost.
Right, so the study is going to look into how we would require those other towns to chip in. So if you notice, you always see Hoboken on the news when they have a lot of water main breaks. They can't get the water off. So right then in north there, Suez, which operates the Jersey City system, would contact Newark and ask us could we supply them 10 or 20 MGD until they get that situation under control. We're able to do that because we have Cedar Grove. Right? If some of you may know, in February, we had the repair on the 84-inch aqueduct for North Jersey District Water Supply. The divers had to go down in the water. We did the robocalls. Newark had Cedar Grove to support us while that water was off for those 6 hours, in case of large fire. Cedar Grove is valuable to us in case of large fires, to get that demand of water real quick. We don't have to ram up the treatment plant if we have a 4-alarm or 5-alarm fire, where we need to get large amounts of water into the system right away. Because of Cedar Grove, we could take that water and don't have to worry about the consequences of ramming up or opening valves or interconnections. So we're required by the end of this year to submit to the EPA and DEP the recommendations of the study, and which way the city would like to move forward, and inviting those nearby towns that want to partner with us. Because if you don't get in, then we're not going to store water for you. We're not going to.
You mentioned Homeland Security.
Yes.
Says stop it.
Well, Homeland Security.
Who has, let's say, jurisdiction? Is it, are we responding to Homeland Security, or are we responding to DEP and the environmental agencies?
Well, Homeland Security and EPA started talking, but they didn't want us to move forward with reducing the capacity. If we reduce the capacity to 200 million gallons of storage, it would just be for Newark. Right? It would just be for Newark.
So maybe we can get some funding from Homeland Security.
Well, the feasibility study will look into all options of funding that's available, whether it's EPA, DEP, other towns, and Homeland Security.
And how are we protecting, let's say, the water that is there now? Do we have any police officers, any drones, let's say, flying around? How are we protecting, making sure that nothing happens to that water?
So that water is gated. That Cedar Grove is a gated reservoir. It has cameras in there. The city just, the BA, we just reinstituted our security patrol. You just passed the last week, those vehicles, those four-wheelers. Some of those vehicles is for our security patrol to patrol those areas.
I have been mentioning for the last 7, 8 years that we should buy some drones. It's easy, let's say $50,000, you buy a drone that you can fly 24 hours and be managed by someone downtown. And I believe it would be cheaper than having police officers, and more effective, having police officers go around the perimeter of the.
So one of the personnel we just hired, he's a drone pilot. We did hire a drone pilot because we want to get not just one drone, a couple of drones in the future.
And I believe not only that, I believe that we should do it also with the Pequannock and all the water reservoirs that we have.
Yes.
Yes. That, I believe that could be the next major impact, or maybe the next major attack incident to the United States might be the water.
So, Councilman, just to refresh your memory, maybe about a year, maybe 2 years ago, Michael Baker is doing our security master plan. You guys approved him to do the design. We're putting infrared cameras, more target hardening stuff in the Pequannock Reservoir system. We're about to go into design. Design is like 90% complete. We sent it up to the state for approval. When it come back, we'll be bidding that out to start executing the upgrades for the security plan, target hardening.
Any other questions? Councilor Amador? No. Other questions?
On a personal note, I would like to thank you for the information that you were able to get Friday.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilor Ramos.
Kareem, so when do you anticipate coming back to this body with a recommendation on what the approach should be and what the budget is?
So we get this December, we get the report back from the consultant Arcadius. So we'll sit down, because it's a joint venture with Passaic Valley and Newark, and come back with the recommendations of alternatives.
Thank you, Kareem.
Corinne, at Passaic Valley, you getting a lot of cooperation from the staff?
The sewer?
Passaic Valley, yes.
Water?
Yeah,
Yes. Passaic Valley Water?
yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the agenda. Councilman, I believe the team is here? Yes. Councilman, we have a presentation? After we do the team.
After what?
High school team. Different recognize.
One of the greatest pleasures that I have while being a councilman is to recognize those folks who from time to time excel. And as a strong supporter of what's going on at Eastside High School, and particularly the basketball program, it's a pleasure to recognize the 2018-2019 record that these folks accomplished. 29 wins, 5 losses in the entire year. Within the conference was 9-4. And this is repetitive. This happens year after year. So something's going on at Eastside High School that the whole city should know about. They won the city, they won the county, they won the conference, and they went to the Final Four, the Tournament of Champions. Not only that, the 2 basketball coaches, Anthony Tavares and Bryant Garvin, were recognized as Coaches of the Year. Yeah. And they only lost by 4 points in the final game of the season against Bergen Catholic. But there's one thing that I appreciate, and I need to tell the entire city, is that these guys are all about academics. Beyond playing basketball, they care about studying. Let me give you an example. About 3 or 4 years ago, I was looking at the newspaper and I was looking at the results, and Eastside was going to play one of the playoff games toward the end of the season, and they had like almost a perfect record, and they were playing not a very good team, and they lost. So, as curious as I was, I walked into the school and I asked them, "What is the reason why you lost this game? This game was so easy to win." The 2 or 3 best players who had kind of, what is the term? Poor attendance in the previous games, because the previous games were not important, decided to show up for that game. And the coaches made a decision to put them on the bench or reject them completely. So Eastside lost the game, and lost the game because the kids did not come to play. They're all business. They're all about not only, as I said before, not only about winning games, but also about performing in the school. And it gives me a tremendous amount of pleasure to recognize these guys. Monday, because I have another engagement at 12:30, but Monday we'll have a luncheon prepared at one of the local restaurants, not only with them, but also with other folks who are not here right now. And it's indeed a pleasure, because every time I attend a game, every time I go to the school, I'm impressed. I'm impressed about the the way they behave. I'm impressed about the way they respond to the coaches. I'm impressed about how they carry themselves about, especially when they go out of the city of Newark, representing the city of Newark. So year after year, they do this. So I think that the reason why they do this is because of the two top guys at the top, Bryant Garvin and Anthony Tavares. So, and the staff that supports these two guys, the staff is absolutely incredible. So it's an obligation on our part to recognize these individuals on behalf of the entire city of Newark.
Yeah, we was looking good and all that red down at Rutgers. Yes, we were. Yes.
I'm going to read some names of the folks who will be recognized today, members of the team, either members of the coaching staff or the coaches or the players. Gita De Leon. And I have my colleague from the West Ward who actually beat us and lost. This guy is amazing. This guy is amazing. I have to say this. I don't want to take the credit away from anybody else, but this guy was impressive. Enos Amos. Elton Hawkins. Let's keep this one for the end. There's another one for the end. Another one for the end, the principal. Just the players now. Just the coach. Assistant coach. A lot of coaches. We have a lot of coaches. That's why the program is successful. Another assistant coach. Wow. Another assistant coach. Any players? Player?
Everyone needed. Everyone needed.
Player Denzel Small. Another player, James Paul. Another assistant coach, Corey Chandler. Actually, he was a player before. Another assistant coach. Now you know why the program is successful. Nyham Carter. Not here. Jazir Gaskin. Not here. Isaiah King Lucas. Aziz Adashina. Gabriel Olaini. Micah Johnson. Nasir Johnson. Jareed White. Andrew Spade. Now, let's go to the assistant coaches and the coaches.
There's only 4 coaches.
Mike McFadden, Corey Chandler. He played for East Side.
He did. 2007 graduate.
Huron Hawkins. Here. Shaquan Johnson. Troy Long. Lamar Williams. John Thomason. I have the athletic director, Adrian. Yes. The principal, Mr. West. And now the last 2 guys. And when you look for reasons why this program is successful, primarily is because of the relationship that exists between these 2 guys, Brian and Anthony. And it's beginning to get out. It's beginning to get out of East Side. Tremendous workers, tremendously devoted to the program, and also devoted to the school. The school is absolutely a gem in the city of Newark, should be recognized as that, and a lot of the credit goes to these 2 guys, Bryant Garvin and Anthony Tavares. Now, one of the criticisms that I give is to the school is the fact that their football program is not as good as it should be. Now we have someone who decided to take up the charge, Bryant Garvin. And with the building of the Ironbound Stadium and a couple of other things going on, in order to get the support that they deserve to have a better program, I think ultimately Eastside High School is going to be a powerhouse in football too. I have no doubt whatsoever, because we're all going to work together to make sure that happens. Now, who wants to speak? I think both of you are going to.
You want to go first?
Yeah, right.
Is Mike right? First thing, I need a quarterback fast for this coming up season. But football is a work in progress. We started officially yesterday, so we have some things to build on and build us way on up for the next 6, 10, 15 years to come. Secondly, I remember being here about 17 years ago. That means I'm getting old. I'm 49 years old, coming up in a few weeks, and I have some years to go. It's going to be a tough task for myself, doing football and basketball back-to-back, and I'm going to need a nap afterwards. But however, I'm up for the challenge. I just need as much support as I can from the city. It's going to take a lot of energy out of myself to do it both. I'm here. I love Eastside, I love Newark. I'm from Chicago, but now I'm from Newark. I've been here for a long, long, long time. It's basically, I was raised by Newark ever since I was 20 years old, 21. So I've been here, and I'm here for the stretch. All right? And it's a lot of work to put in, but we got a lot of support from you guys, and I appreciate you guys being here. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Born and raised in Newark, graduated from Main Street School, Eastside High School, went to NJIT, so I've never left, and we literally were sitting up here 17 years ago with Randy Foy and the group, our first state championship winner. So just very proud to be from Newark, and Coach Garver and I have completed our 19th season this year, coaching the most important part of our community, which is our youth. So I think we've had a great run. Neither one of us have any aspirations of leaving, I think, anytime soon. You know, when we had the success this year that we had, part of it, yes, is our vision, our hard work. But to me, the state championships, that's all nice. But going to a couple of weeks ago to the Prudential Center and seeing Abdul Lewis graduate from NJIT, and Ahmad Harrison is going to graduate from Caldwell College. We had 10 student athletes in college this year playing basketball. So that, to me, defines who Coach Garvin and I and what we are. Not about the championships. It's about how many kids we can get through. We've had policemen, we've had lawyers. So that's what it's all about, trying to help the kids so they can do something with themselves, with their lives. So it's not always easy playing for Coach Garver, myself, and all the coaches, but I think if they can get through 4 years of high school, we put them in a better place and prepare them for the real world. So that's been our message. A special congratulations also out to the university girls who won, and all the coaches in the city that all the sports. Sometimes it's not easy being a coach. Everyone sees us at Rutgers with the red shirts and everything that Mr. Jackson keeps referring to. But, you know, tonight we have a game in Patterson, and we got to go in 45, 50 minutes of traffic and drive back and forth and play a game and teaching them, and not about basketball, but about life, being on time and doing all that stuff. So a big thank you to all the coaches in the city of Newark, regardless of sport, because you guys are doing a phenomenal job trying to help our youth. We need more and more young coaches to volunteer and to help out with the youth. That's what it's all about. Last thing I want to say is I want to thank Councilman Amador, who has been nothing but tremendous support for not only the basketball team, but the entire school. Anything that we've ever needed over the course of the last 2 decades that I've been there, he's always been a helping hand. So as far as representation from our councilman, he's been nothing but great for everything Eastside. So today we actually have a signed jersey from the players to present to Councilman Amador so he can put in his office. Not for him to wear, from display.
Not to wear, but to display.
We also have a few T-shirts here for some of the city council members. We'll leave it with Mr. Amador. So thank you again. Thank you all. Hopefully we can be back here soon.
Thank you, and I hope that West Side comes in next year.
Oh, we will.
Thank you very much. And I'll see you Monday for lunch. Okay? You're going to play in where? Addison?
Today we play in Patterson.
Okay. Good luck.
And then we're going to Washington. One of the friends of the program is taking 35, 37 people to Washington, D.C. on an educational trip. We're going Thursday and Friday. We'll be back Friday night. We're going to go see the Capitol, the White House. Yep, we're going to go to museums. Yep, absolutely. All right.
Guys, keep up the good work. Much success, right?
Thank you. Thursday.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
No, still trying to.
Mr. President, we are now in the public speaking portion of this meeting. This is a 30-minute period in which speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak. When you step to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. You'll see a small timing device on the podium in front of you, which will begin counting down your time when you begin speaking. When you reach the 2-minute mark, the yellow light will illuminate, indicating that you have 1 minute remaining for a summation. When you reach the 3rd minute, the red light will illuminate and there will be an audible sound. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak at this time?
Good morning, good morning.
Good afternoon, almost.
Great oh, it's afternoon? Thank you, Lou.
5 minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great job. I mean, we looked so phenomenal. I just have to say it, in those red shirts down at Rutgers. When that other team walked in there, they was like, yeah, Newark in the house. That's how you do it. You go to a game, we got to get our sponsorship in place, we got to get our booster clubs for all of our kids. We got to do this at Barringer, West Side, Weekway. I'm going to forget them, so I'm not even going to try. Science, all of them, arts. We got to make sure that we repping Newark when we go out here, because we're trying to do phenomenal things and go out fight with y'all all the time. So 2 things real quick. I don't want to get into details, but I want to talk about procedure. And what I do want you guys to put your radar up about is the shooting that we just had with the Newark police officer. In terms of procedure, we need to have a conversation now, because that was out of control. I don't care how you look at it. For his partner to sit in that car and have to tell his partner to calm down, to get it back together, and for none of you guys, and I understand it's a legal issue, but not to say anything is wrong with that in terms of procedure. You ran the plate, the car came back good, we don't know who was in that car. It could have been my son, my nephew, and who was the passenger. That's all I'm asking you guys to look at. I'm not saying guilty or innocent. I'm saying procedure was not followed. And the fact that the Newark Police Department did not stop that chase when there was not a criminal investigation going on, it wasn't a carjacking, there wasn't a shooting, but prior to that chase, we have to look at that. And we have to talk about it. We don't have to agree with what we say, but we have to talk about that, because this can happen again. And one of the things I know we had in Newark, that was never the issue. 2, I don't know how many summer jobs we got this summer, but it ain't enough. We better find some money somewhere. I think we need to stop charging for this picnic. Don't have the mayor's picnic. I don't care, because now we're facing 45 lawsuits. That's going to cost us dollars from those people that got hurt on that bus. So I think that we need to not do that, since we can't do it properly, and invest some more dollars into the summer program. I don't know what we did with the additional $2 million that came from the state, but we need to look at that. Yesterday was legislative day for housing in Trenton. We went down, we made some demands, and let me just say this, I hear Mr. Cirillo's plan today. I don't know if I agree, because we're forcing people out of Terrell homes. See, I don't get caught up in, you move me out and put me in another unit because of the mold. You put me out the unit because when you put that new stuff up, you don't want poor folks going back in there, because that whole demographic is going to change. Lastly, I think we need to stop all contracts right now with Claremont. They don't need to build not another thing in this city. That building on Urban Turner Boulevard and 140 Spruce Street, Urban Turner Boulevard, that building is going to be done in 2 years. The windows are still leaking. The floors are coming up in the living room. You can hear the wood You can hear the wood underneath the floor, on top of the carpet in the hallways. If you guys haven't been there, please go. I'm going to go inspect our new one over there in the North Ward. I'm going to go look at the one on Irvin Turner Boulevard. We have got to be concerned about the quality of the housing that we put up, so that it lasts us into the next 20 years or so. Thank you.
Next speaker. No other speakers? Mr. Clerk, no other speakers?
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you.
Are you going to speak? No. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you next week at the 18th for the special.
Thank you.